So nice to see you all. Lots of lots of shirt sleeves and short sleeves and yeah, I hope the heat is hope you're either enjoying the heat or yeah, not suffering too much from it. So yeah, this morning I thought I'd talk a little bit about flexibility. Flexible mind is very helpful in practice. The ability to respond freshly, to respond without sort of strong sort of preconditioned habits, but to the situation as it arises, whether that's an internal situation or something you're responding to in your life. Um, and there are different sort of aspects to that, but on the whole, uh, Vipassana practice, clear seeing practice is really helpful to giving that flexibility. Partly because we're training in seeing how the mind is relating to what's going on. So there's that back of the mind. How is the mind relating to this? With some sort of aversion, with a wanting more from this particular object or experience, or relating with some kind of disinterest. Those are the three favorites, if you like. But then we also can relate with awareness and wisdom. Um, just want to double check that people are hearing me because I can see one or two people look like, yeah, good. Okay, great. Good. Yeah, look like they might not be. Um, so within that broader clear seeing, Vipassana clear seeing practice, we've got mindfulness, stability, and wisdom as factors that we're encouraging or cultivating to access different qualities of mind that support flexibility. Uh, and that these qualities are all really we're encouraging them all to help further the wisdom agenda. That's the aim of the practice is to help further the wisdom mind and open us up to new ways of seeing, new ways of being in the world. Um, so I mentioned mindfulness, stability, and wisdom. Sometimes we need to encourage further stability, and that might be something we usually associate more with practices that are specifically for encouraging stability and a sort of power in the mind. So practices like the mindfulness of breathing. So we don't need to do a formal practice in order to have the flexibility to give the mind what it needs in the moment. So sometimes when we realize that the mind needs a little bit more stability, um, so that we're able to watch the mind, we can use, in a broad sense, either the body or the breath to do this. Can do it through open awareness. We can do it just through watching what's happening. But sometimes, particularly when there are a lot of thoughts in the mind, there just isn't enough stability to be able to stay with what's happening. And so just using the breath as a kind of anchor so that you're aware of what else is happening too. You're not using the breath or the body exclusively, but you are using them temporarily as a primary object with the other experiences secondary. Um, yeah, so in addition to if you're using the breath, you'll also notice sounds, you'll notice body sensations. But beyond noticing them, you don't really give them more attention. And the same with thoughts or emotions. Letting the breath or the body be that kind of central core in an open and fluid way. And enjoy that, enjoy what that brings. certain stability can often bring quite a lot of calm and pleasure to us. So you still, and this is important, you still have that faculty of right view or right attitude working. So you continue to be able to see that relationship to experience that I was talking about a couple of minutes ago. Um, you can notice if the mind starts to get tense, which is something that can happen if we over focus on an aspect of experience. Is the mind resisting what you're doing with it? So these are things that we'll notice in a broader practice, and we can still notice even when there's some degree of focusing down. So you can adjust then what's happening, and you keep the initiative through those adjustments. And in a way, that reflexive kind of questioning, what's happening now? And is there something I need to do to help the energy of the practice flow more freely, more openly? So that's within formal practice. But I think outside of formal practice, you can also use a single focus to help keep continuity of awareness. So rather than trying to watch the mind all the time, which you can do, um, you can also swap, if you like, between watching the mind in the broad sense and being with one aspect of your experience. So when you're walking, you're walking. When you're washing, you're with that. You're with the sensations of your hands in water or the water on your face, whatever it is. When you're preparing food, you're aware of chopping or stirring or whatever it is. So if you like, there's a kind of simpler focus than that really broad watching the mind through all the six senses. And you can play with that, play with going from one to the other when it feels like perhaps there's a little bit more stability from just being aware of walking or talking or sitting, then open up to the watching, noticing thoughts, noticing different sensations in the body, seeing what arises in the mind. One thing Sayadaw U Tejaniya says that I remember every now and again because it's a good thing. He says, when you don't have anything to do, turn inwards and watch the mind. So rather than scrolling, which is our latest thing for a lot of us, when we don't have anything to do, scroll. When you don't have anything else that you have to do, I don't know, maybe you're sort of, you've got a few minutes before you need to leave your house to go out somewhere. Rather than filling those few minutes, watch the mind, just turn inwards, just give yourself that. Um, so we use those gains from continuity of awareness of simple objects, because there will be gains in terms of stability and more mindfulness. So we use those gains to further the practice. It's very easy to squander those gains through a few minutes of mindless scrolling on our phones, or a few minutes of just um, inattentiveness to what's happening. And I think it can be helpful, last thing here, to think of practice in terms of the whole day rather than particular activities or even just our morning practice or evening practice. Think of it broadly in terms of, oh, how was practice overall today? Perhaps there'll be sort of peaks and troughs within that's natural, but we get used to not associating meditation practice or awareness practice just with formal practice, but including an opening up to the whole of our lives. Okay, so I'll leave it there. So if you'd like to set up for meditation.